What is going on, everybody? Chad here with you on the Dorky and 40 channel. The holidays are over. I see on Facebook lots of people have all of their Toothpick 3 stuff coming in, so I figured I would go ahead and put a video together showing some tips when I built mine last week and my current PID and tuning settings, all that kind of fun stuff. So hopefully you can get your build together and up and running as fast as possible. So let's go ahead and look here at the bench and I will show you my TP3 build. So this is the, I guess you would call it the official kebab version. We have the Amaxiano 1303 motors on there. This is running the Mamba stack from the Diatone. It's a newer flight controller that is on FPV cycle. Haven't had any problems with it yet. Probably ripped about 30-40 packs through this thing this week. We've had 60-degree weather in Ohio in December. Imagine that. The Gem Fan 3018 props with the 2mm prop shafts on there. I have the Nameless RC 400 milliwatt DVR board on here. And I've also been recording DVR with PowerPlay, which is really nice. The B-beam mount, the Nano 3 by RUNCAM, which is just beautiful. I got a video if you want to take a look at that. We'll also play some of it here in the background. Then I'm running TBS Crossfire with the little Crossfire Nano antenna there and everything like that. So when it comes to building, let's start with building the frame. Take a look at the pictures on the FPV Cycle website to get everything kind of oriented properly, so that way you're kind of sure how things goes together. It's not rocket science. This is quadcopter science. So there is a way to put this together if you want to try to use rubber bands. I've actually just ditched the rubber bands and went with a strap, and I've got one of the Pure Flip straps coming as well. I don't mind the weight, and I've got just the smallest little battery pad on there. Now when you're building this quad with the newest version of the TP3 frame, all 4 arms are going to interlock, and there is a single screw that is going to go up through those arms that they're all going to kind of hug around. Now the screw that comes in the kit, according to the website, was smaller than it is supposed to be. So I have one of these little M2 kits here. You can get these off of Amazon. I've got like a link below if you're looking for the right kind of M2 hardware to go with. This is super nice. And you're gonna need a 6mm, and you'll put that up through there, and then all of your arms will kind of lock around that, and that will cinch everything down. Definitely when you're putting your arms and everything on, don't tighten things up all the way until you are sure that everything is the way that you want it, or you'll have to disassemble and reassemble a couple times like I have. Now, unlike the last Toothpick, you would think that these arms should kind of be the same orientation, but they're not. I don't know why, but you can see how on this arm you actually will have 2 screws going this way, 2 going that way, and the same thing with the front 2 arms. So this is the way it all goes together. There's only one way you can do it, unless you flip these around possibly or whatever. This is how I have mine together, and I've had no problems with it at all. So there is the actual frame. The next thing that I would recommend to do is to go ahead and solder up all the pads on your flight controller off of the build. And I would also try to solder up all of your other items as well. There's directions and wiring diagrams on each component on FPV Cycle, so that way if you're running a DVR, you know which color wires go to what. It's super simple. I've been using just my regular big solder tip here. I had no problem soldering this stuff at all. Even with the bigger tip. If you got a smaller tip and you're good with it, then that's fine. I, for some reason, am just not that good with a TS100 soldering iron when it comes to building. I just don't like it at all. Now you're going to get a bunch of different sized screws with your motors. Some are for your props and 2 are for the different size for the motors. You're going to want the really short ones. The medium sized ones are going to go up through there. So just make sure you use the little short ones there, 2 into each motor. Flight controller bobbins. This is kind of how I have my stack here. So flight controller, nameless board, crossfire on top of that, and B-brain canopy on top of that. It works out perfect, and it's a nice condensed, really tough little, hard little stack. There's probably different ways you can do it. I'm not sure I'm 100% like in love with the way it is, but I kind of had to figure out a way to mount, as great as it is having this small light Immortal T. It's hard to mount. It's where you can figure it out. You could raise the flight controller stack a little bit and stick it under there and then just go out to one of the arms. But I was pretty much already too far past that. So I said, forget it. And I just kind of got it held up here with the VTX antenna. As you can see, it doesn't look pretty, but it works fantastic. So when you're using your flight controllers, you're going to see you're going to have a bunch of different size of rubber grommets. Use these taller ones and then just flip them upside down like that, so that way you can create yourself a little space there. And then I put just a couple little M2 nuts on top of that, depending upon how thick yours are. You might only need 1 if you're using like the plastic ones, because you need just enough clearance for the DVR board so you can get to the card easily, and so you can also get to the micro USB and everything like that as well. And then it'll give you some extra room here in the side to like put all of your wires and everything for your crossfire and stuff. So that's when it comes to building the stack. So when it comes to putting on the motors, probably the easiest thing to do is to go ahead and just kind of put one in place, get the wire length and cut that, and then take it off. And what I did was I just took a motor and then the amount of wire that I cut off on all of them, and then just stretched it out, chopped them all off, and made them all the same length, because they all wire up the same. So having them the same length will be just fine. It's so much easier to do that and tin these up and everything when they're not mounted. So don't just mount your motors first like some of us do when we build 5-inch quads. It'll make your life a little bit harder, because when you're trying to work on all this little stuff, it's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more tedious. The next thing to do to get your B-brain mount a little bit ready to go, what I would do is, if you have pin vices, which I have pin vices here, I would drill these holes out just a little bit long, a little bit, just a tad, or even take a hobby knife and just kind of barely open them up just a touch, because they're super tight on top of here, like really hard to get down and on and off. This one here I did not, but I would in the future. And then that way you can slip this on and off a little bit easier, and it's going to help you control your angle, because these will need to go down deeper and this one needs to go up higher in order to elevate that camera a little bit. So I definitely would recommend doing that. I did not do that. I did also secure the nameless DVR with another M2 bolts on top there of the stack. So then when it comes to installing the RUNCAM Nano 3, if you didn't watch my video or read the website, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to trim off this material here to make it flush so the camera will come through. And then you need to take something like a pair of pliers, or I used wire strippers here, and you need to flex out the sides of the B-brain mount. You don't want to break it, you just want to flex them out and make it really nice. and a little bit bigger, then your RUNCAM Nano 3 will pop right in there. Just no problem at all. It fits perfect. It's like super hard fit. Doesn't need tape, doesn't need anything. The only reason why I have rubber bands and stuff up here is to keep my antennas up and out of place and everything like that. I put my cap here on the end. You will need your own wire if you got the diatone flight controller, because it did not come with any wires, but it comes with the XT30 and everything like that. And when she's all said and done, 58 grams plus the 42 grams, I think it is, for the 420 3S battery. That's going to put you right around 109, 110 grams, which is pretty much where you want to be. If you can build it a few grams lighter, you definitely want to do that. And if you can't, then I really wouldn't worry about it, because these things fly fantastic. I love how this thing flies compared to my 2.5 inches, compared to my Beta 115. I'm not saying that I'm not going to use any of those or anything like that, but I tell you, it's just really nice. One handy thing to have is one of these little 90-degree jobbies from Banggood, and this allows you, I got these from when I was playing with Cinewhoops. They're like $3. That allows you to plug in 90 degrees into the flight controller super duper easy, as you can see right there. So let's take a look here at my current PID setup. Now this is all flashed with Betaflight 4.1.2, and I did use the regular JESC iFlight running the newest 48K ESC firmware for the bidirectional D-Shot. So that's $5. I got that all set up and running. My port settings, UART1 is serial RX. Tramp protocol, and that means that you do have to go ahead and set up the VTX table as well. Follow the link right here, copy and paste the VTX table from your clipboard, and then save it, and then go ahead and start testing that and making sure that works for you. You do need to unlock this VTX, so just power it on and hold in the button for like 25-30 seconds, and you'll see the lights start blinking on it, and then it will be unlocked. If you can't change your channels, but it looks like your smart audio or Tramp protocol is working, it means that it's not unlocked. So if you put it at 200, it goes back to 25, it's not unlocked. You got to unlock that thing. So for the configuration, D-Shot 300 and 4K, because the processor is only in F4. We can't run all that stuff. Bidirectional D-Shot is turned on. There's 12 poles on these motors, not 14. I'm running a motor idle of 7%. You can feel free to do what you want to with that. Also, motor direction is reversed and CRSF. Let's see here. Let's go to PIDs. So we'll keep on talking filters. So I've been running my filters at 1.5. I have ran them all the way over on the slider, but 1.5 is good for this, just because with your battery kind of sliding around on there and stuff like that and not being 100% perfect, these tend to be a little bit, I think, a little bit noisier than a typical, like a 2.5 inch build, where I haven't had any problems running super low multipliers. You can try raising them all the way up to 2, but starting at 1.5 and then reconfiguring your gyro for RPM and dynamic notch filter down here will get everything set up where you need to go. When it comes to rates, these are my rates. I am running a throttle limit of a scale of 75 instead of a cut around 75 or 80, just because I want to keep my normal throttle hover range where my 5" stuff typically is. So I do this on all the quads. TPA, I got it at 0.75. TPA only affects D, so it will chop that D value down. That way when you hit the gas, you don't have to worry about creating any excess D-term noise. So these are the PIDs that I have been working with. 50, 50, 65, 90, 90, 90, 55, 55, 0. D-min set at 45, 45. Feed forward at 45, 45. No transition. V-back compensation on. I-turn relax. Gyro to 10. D-min gain at 35 with a 0 advance. And a 7.5 on anti-gravity. So all this, why I have this set this way and stuff like that, it's pretty much the stuff that I've been applying from all of Mark Spat's UAV text videos, and I've had no problems at all with any Betaflight 4.15 or 3" and if you look at my channel, you'll see a couple different 3" now, 2.5 inches, all running the same stuff. So I have had this one and my Beta both go to the moon as soon as I armed them the first time, because I had a lot higher PIDs in there than you see now. These are pretty much right at the edge when it comes to the tune that I like to fly. So I like a very stiff type of quad, which is why I run high P's and I's and D's. I just like a very stiff, reactive, you know, I don't like the whole like loose filling type of quads, low feed forward. So you could do anything that you want to do with these and it's probably going to take it, but I would not go any higher with your P gains or the D gains than what you see here. And when it comes to your D-min, you always want your D-min running fairly close to your D on a smaller quad, because it just needs it, from what I have told and what I have learned. And that's it. I mean, that is the PIDs. Everything else is just pretty much set up how you want it set up as far as your OSD and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to take a look here at some video real quick, this is from the power play. This was outside today. You can see it's really nice and sunny. Now, it was really windy today, and I was just kind of playing around. I've got the HDO2s the other day, and this is really only like my, I don't know, 7th or 8th flight with the HEO2s, and man, I'm trying to get used to them, because coming from the Dom V2s, it is a heck of a change. I mean, they are just huge and in your face and rubbing your eyelashes and everything like that. So I'm really kind of learning how to fly all over again. Funny enough, I like flying in the widescreen mode versus the 4x3. It just kind of makes the screen a little bit smaller and a little bit easier to navigate. But you know, you can see just everything just flies really good, nice and locked on, no problems with this at all. I do have, I think, some DVR footage here if you want to take a look at that real quick. That was from the first day of Maidens. So this is the nameless DVR that is on board running as well. And you can see, of course, no flicker or screen problems or anything like that. This has been not color corrected at all, but it has been up converted in YouTube and sped up to 111% to kind of get more consistent with the actual speed that you would see when flying. And we'll kind of go through here, see where I start. I don't want to get too crazy this day because I didn't want to ditch it in the snow or nothing like that, so start doing some power loops and stuff like that. I think over the concrete here, once I was getting a feel for everything. A lot of this was like tuning stuff and everything. But, you know, I haven't had any problems with the tune at all. It's really nice for me. And it should be a good starting point for you. If it's a little too tight, just start lowering some of that stuff down and you'll be just fine. Or maybe run it tight like that and increase the stick feel by cranking up the feed forward. Whatever floats your boat. I will say with this setup that I've had it out to, you look all the way down this driveway here, kind of down here at the end is kind of the limit of the 400 milliwatts with the dipole. The Crossfire had plenty of range to go, running in this little Immortal T thing here. So there's plenty of distance and power that's available for you there. So we won't have to worry about anything. If you're using an XM Plus or something like that, you probably won't have no problems either. So that is pretty much going to do it. I have other stuff coming for the 3-inch 1S, and probably will end up putting together another one of these whenever Bob gets some motors back in stock, maybe on the unibody frame, not 100% sure. But they're great, and with all the FAA rules that just came out today, and you can see kind of where things are going. Hopefully they don't go that far, but it looks like 3-inch and under 250 grams might be where a lot of us end up with here in the future. And thanks to Bob and all the research that he's done and pushing all these other people to make quads and parts and stuff like this over the past year, I think we're in a lot better place. I mean, this wasn't even possible last year. Bob knew that. He was trying his hardest to make it, but he had a vision and he made it happen, and I could not be happier. I probably wouldn't be flying if it wasn't for getting into this this smaller stuff, because 5-inch stuff just really kind of burnt me out for a while. So this is completely new and different. Once you get the stuff up and running, it's cheap to operate, cheap to repair, if the parts are in stock. So get them while you can. Talk to you guys later.